How being Molde manager shaped Manchester United boss Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. In the reception area at Molde's Aker Stadium, the club's bubbly secretary Heidi Rinderoy is rapidly into her stride. I hear our Ole has been treating Kath, the Manchester United receptionist at Carrington, to some Norwegian chocolates, she says. So I better put my request in for some British shortbread. But that is Ole. He treats us all equally. He bought me some excellent red wine as a Christmas present. Solskjaer's charm and affable presence is the overriding narrative at Manchester United since he arrived almost a month ago. After the snarl of Jose Mourinho, Solskjaer's smile has lifted the mood and seen United record 5 wins and score 16 goals in 5 matches ahead of Sunday's visit to Tottenham. In his home country, the adoration of Solskjaer grows. In Norway, there is the Pope and then it's Ole, chuckles former Norway manager Age Hareide. He is our most famous sportsman, but this is new ground even for him. This is only a 6-month agreement, but for Solskjaer, 45, it is the opportunity of a lifetime. One friend admits that Solskjaer feared he was finished in English football after a dismal period at Cardiff. Ole Olsen, Solskjaer's former boss at first club Norwegian, says, he would like the job. He texted me after the Huddersfield match, saying, "I'm back home. You need downs to get up." The ownership in Cardiff was different. At United, he knows the canteen staff, the washing ladies, everyone. It is easier for him. You never know with this boy. As a player, he took the stage in Manchester. He will do the same again. Solskjaer's reputation as a player is legendary, but there was a time when his presence raised eyebrows at Old Trafford. United were actually scouting defender Ronny Johnson during a Norway game against Azerbaijan in 1996, but Solskjaer stole the show by scoring a brilliant volley. When he arrived at Old Trafford to sign his contract, a tour guide looked nonplussed and asked who he was. Rune Edoy, a local journalist who has known the Solskjaer family for over 20 years, recalls, United presented Ole, Karel Poberski, Jordi Cruyff and Ronny Johnson together. Cruyff was the star. All 4 were presented together. Nobody asked a question to Ole and nobody asked Ferguson about Ole. Cruyff remembers the United dressing room being instantly impressed. His shooting was like a computer game. Press the button, turn the joystick and it always goes into the corner. Unbelievable. After a goal-laden start, Solskjaer's finishing touch was compared in Sportsmail's pages to that of the great Dennis Law, and in 1999 he inscribed his name into United folklore with that winning goal in the Champions League final against Bayern Munich. Solskjaer scored 126 goals for United and from 2000, took notes on his own training performance and every session run by Ferguson and assistants Steve McLaren and Carlos Queiroz. When Solskjaer informed his manager of his intention to retire in 2007, Ferguson offered him a coaching role within 2 minutes. For 3 years, Solskjaer relished working under Ferguson. He coached United strikers in the final months of their 2007-08 double-winning campaign and then spent 2 years as reserve team coach, where he worked with Paul Pogba. He is a rare example of a man cherished by both Ferguson and Roy Keane. He is said to be one of only a handful of players who had Keane's number during the Irishman's fraught final season at United, and the families remain close. In 2010, Solskjaer returned to Molde as manager. "If United are an ocean liner, Molde are a rowing boat," quips one friend. Managing director Øystein Neerland is honest. "We do not buy players for £100 million, he says. Molde's main street, our only street, is 300 meters long with a few shops. The population is 27,000. We have 12,000 at the stadium, so nearly 50% of the population have season tickets. Molde is not in the top 30 cities in Norway. What are your first impressions of Norway?" Christian Michelsen, Kristiansen's head coach, politely asked me. "Is your hotel good?" "Fine, thanks," I replied, slightly bemused that he should take such an interest in me. "Is the food good?" "Settling in okay?" "Good, thank you." How does it feel to follow in the footsteps of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? I mumbled a reply and thought, Is everyone in Norway this polite to foreign journalists? Then, after 5 minutes of chit-chat, it finally dawned on Michelsen that I was not, in fact, Armenian trialist goalkeeper Arsene Beglarian, who was also arriving at the club the same day. This is such a relief, the coach laughed. All I was thinking is that you seem so weak to be a goalkeeper. Local newspaper Tidens Grav ran a story about the mishap before explaining the real reason for Sportsmail's visit. Adam Crafton Molde is, however, a place of almost impossible beauty. The club's stadium is set against the banks of Romsdalsfjord, and from one local vantage point, 222 mountain peaks are visible. When Solskjaer arrived in 2010, the club had never won a title and had narrowly escaped relegation. Former United colleagues Mark Dempsey and Richard Hardis joined Solskjaer, and together, they built a mini United. Players formally turned up in hoodies and jeans. Solskjaer admired the significance of the United blazer, and he worked with Molde veterans to design a badge for a club suit to wear on the way to games. He delved into the club's past, inviting Molde old boys for lunch at the canteen every Friday and ensuring they have access to the club's gym twice a week. Concerned that players needed to buy sandwiches from the club cafe to refuel, Solskjaer appointed Torbjørg Haugen, the country's most renowned sports chef, from the Olympic skating team. Players now had breakfast and lunch provided every day. I already know to have his scrambled eggs on toast ready for his breakfast when he returns, Haugen grins. The dressing room layout was remodeled to imitate United's. Players had individual lockers for the first time. Extra kit men were employed. The players' entrance was changed. They now walk past the gym in the morning, where they see peers arriving earlier to push themselves. A consultant from United flew over to set up the software and high-tech video analysis suites. Solskjaer even took up Ferguson's habit of hosting the opposing manager for a glass of wine after games. It worked. Molde won back-to-back titles and a cup competition in 3 seasons. Solskjaer speaks of inner justice in his dressing room. Late for a meeting? The doors are locked and you are dropped from the next game. Not correctly dressed? Sent home to get the right gear. Neerland explains, you don't need to be angry to be respected. When he says no, it means no. He speaks directly and says how it is in the dressing room. There are fine margins between winning 1-0 and losing 1-0. At United, Anthony Marshall discovered Solskjaer's timekeeping obsession when he was dropped for the home match against Huddersfield after missing a flight back from France. When the FA Cup draw pitted United at Arsenal this week, Solskjaer told his players, "What an opportunity to show how good you are." It is a contrast to the Mourinho era, where communication was non-existent and big games daunted rather than excited the manager. Every moment of praise for one player was perceived as a swipe by another. Solskjaer is honest, informing players why they are not playing, but warning them to be ready for a different upcoming game. One source says, it is very clear he is the manager. He is not pally-pally or hanging around with the players in the dressing room. He keeps telling players, be yourself. Do what you feel you are best at. It is the same mantra at Molde. In the dressing room, a sign reads, just play. Have fun. Enjoy the game. Another says, losers quit when they are tired. Winners quit when they have won. The consensus of the United dressing room is clear. The club is breathing again. Some have already spoken of Solskjaer as a long-term option, while more level-headed players still expect the stirring simplicity of Solskjaer's reign to be short-term and foresee a more experienced appointment such as Sunday's rival, Mauricio Pochettino. This week in the Middle East, Solskjaer has pushed his players. His mentality was imbued with relentless drive by Dad Øyvind, a 7-time Norwegian Greco-Roman wrestling champion. Jan Trygve Pedersen recalls, when his dad coached a youth team, 6-year-old Ole would run around like a mascot and help set up sessions. There is only one dark secret, as one former teacher says with a smile. I remember him running around in the playground in a Liverpool shirt. When in Norway, Solskjaer drives a 3-hour round trip each day, along the perilous but stunning Atlantic Ocean road to return from Molde to his hometown of Kristiansand. His children are students at the same Dallodreka school that he attended. At the local club, Klosningen, Solskjaer's family ties are clear. This is where he began his career, but a photograph of his father as a young footballer in 1959 is also up on the wall. So are pictures of his sister in the handball team. Solskjaer met his wife Silja at Klosningen, where they both played football in the 1980s. Now Solskjaer is another dad on the touchline, bringing his kids to training and helping out with sessions at Klosningen's sister club, Kristiansand, as he rebuilt his coaching career after Cardiff. Hareide, the current Denmark manager who bought Solskjaer for Molde and sold him to United in 1996, recalls, "Everything starts at home. When Ole signed for United, his parents came to me and thanked me. They are the only parents to ever do that for me. I saw he invited Sir Alex to training. They will talk a lot. I remember Ferguson called me before signing Ole. I said, with his talent and personality, he will serve United for years." Solskjaer's parents, wife and children travelled to Manchester for United's win over Bournemouth. With the kids in school and eldest son Noah playing for Kristiansand, Solskjaer is in Manchester alone for now. But back home, pride brims from every quarter. Jan Trygve Pedersen, who played with Solskjaer in the past and now runs Klosningen, explains, "The local newspaper and local bank are setting up a flight to Manchester on May 11 for United v Cardiff's final game. We will see if it really is his final game." Back at Molde, the club's press officer smiles as he points out that Solskjaer's name still adorns the door of the managerial office. For how much longer, we shall see.